presentations. And we're here today with Malou Beimer. Hello, Malou. Thank you for joining us and for being the jury. So you will be seeing most of the projects that you already saw at midterms with a few changes. Good luck to everybody. We're very much looking forward to see your amazing projects and all the developments and work you have put into them. First up will be Mariam in Armenia. Mariam, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Hello to everyone. Let me start with my video first.
You don't notice it at first. You're walking through a city, a forest, a mountain trail, and your phone quietly starts to lose power. Navigation fades, connection drops, and suddenly your freedom has limits. But look around. Everywhere you go, there is sunlight, endless, constant. Solar power is one of the most sustainable energy sources available today. While traditional solar panels power buildings and infrastructure, this project explores how that same energy can travel with us through wearable solar panels. What if energy could move with you, just you, the road ahead, and the sun, walking with you? Stay connected, keep moving, because the most powerful energy source on Earth is already above us. All we have to do is walk under it.
Thank you. Sorry. There is a special kind of freedom in walking, not the kind that depends on schedule or power outlets, but the kind where you can simply keep going. I enjoy spending time outdoors and occasionally hiking near the place I live in mountains in Dilijan. During those moments, I started to notice something interesting. We're surrounded by sunlight practically everywhere, but we're still worrying about such small things as dying battery on the phone. This project began with a simple question: what if energy we need could travel with us? Solar energy is already one of the most sustainable and widely used renewable energy sources. Traditional solar panels power homes, buildings, and entire cities. But I became curious about a smaller and more personal scale. What if the same sunlight could power the small device we carry with us every day? Phone, navigator tools, or emergency communication devices, especially important when you are outdoors. This project is also connected to my professional background. Before, some years ago, I was working as a designer, outdoor designer for a large clothing brand. So technical garments and functional construction are very familiar to me. This project for me became the way to combine two areas: clothing design and renewable energy. It allowed me to explore how a garment could interact more actively with the environment around us. The idea of solar clothing is not completely new. Designer Pauline van Dongen has conducted extensive research in this field. Her work ranges from experiments and avant-garde solar garments to a collaboration with scientists and making even fabric with integrated solar panels. Another well-known example is the solar jacket created by Tommy Hilfiger and Cyril Young. These projects demonstrate the possibility of solar fashion, but they also highlight the practical challenges of integrating energy system into wearable objects. My project explored this idea through a wearable prototype. The final object is a hooded neck garment, something between a scarf, a hood, and a lightweight vest. Solar panels are integrated into the outer surface, where they can receive sunlight from the wearer while the wearer is moving. The aim was not to create a finished commercial prototype product yet, but to explore how renewable energy systems could realistically be integrated into clothing. The energy system itself is relatively simple. Small solar panels collect sunlight and generate electricity. The energy that passes through a solar charging controller, which regulates the voltage and protect the battery. Finally, the energy is stored in a compact 5,000 milliampere power bank and can later be used to charge a phone or other devices small. During testing, the assembled system produced approximately 4.2 volts under deadlight conditions. The development process included several technical stages. First, I tested all solar panels individually to measure its voltage output in both cloudy and sunny conditions. Then the panels were assembled into 3 branches and connected into a system that stays with the voltage limits of the solar controller. After I connected the solar controller and verified that the circuit was working. For the battery holder, I used an existing 3D model and adjusted to fit the dimension of the battery, and also added some holes to make it work and to sew it on the garment. Alongside the electronics, the garment itself also went through a development process. At the beginning, I created the prototype from mock-up fabric to fix the design and proportions, and to understand the position of solar panels. After refining the design, I produced the final prototype using a reinforced water-repellent fabric. This fabric is not new for me because I used it before in my professional work, and this is a very good fabric for outdoor jackets. During the development, I also stayed in contact with my garment technologist, and I would like to thank her for her help during this process. For construction details, magnetic step buttons are used for central fastening, and also of scarf elements attaching to the main garment. All solar panels are attached on Velcro tape, so they are removable, and if needed, they can be detached, as well as all electronics, and the garment can be washed. For additional safety, the power bank and solar controller are placed into a separate removable Velcro module. This module can be placed either inside the pocket or in your backpack, because I didn't want to keep it on your body. This project does not try to replace traditional solar infrastructure or electrical infrastructure, which we are used to use. Instead, it explores a similar idea. Energy does not always need to come from somewhere far away. Sometimes it can be collected quietly while we move through the world. The sun is already above us, and perhaps the future of sustainable energy begins with something very simple: the freedom to keep walking. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariam. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Please,
Thank
Malou.
you. Wow, it's so excited to see the final prototype and that it actually worked. What was your first experience with walking with it in the natural environment?
Well, first I felt myself a bit surrealistic, some fantastic movie, but it was as there is you do not feel any electronic inside of it. You have some fluffy construction like your favorite down jacket, so it was comfortable. And also, while we were making this video, I understood that I don't want to put it out because it is very comfortable to also to protect your neck from the wind.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I enjoy this.
Yeah, I really enjoy it when people create stuff that we can wear on the body and that you have this empirical research element as well, where you actually put it on yourself, that you experience it. I'm super happy to hear it was comfortable. It's also interesting to see what kind of implications the electronics have on you when you wear it, like also from the aesthetic point of view and everything. So I think that is very, very interesting and definitely worth to keep exploring. And I'm happy to hear that you got everything working as well, because that is a challenge in itself, of course.
It was true. It was.
Yeah. I think your video is very well. Your presentation was nicely done, and what I really liked about your project is the fact that you have this modularity aspect, that you are able to take parts off, that you can wash the part that is actually touching the skin. I think that is something that is very well thought through. And with that, you also see the experience, of course, of working with outer garments. I think that really helps.
Thank you.
I was fascinated by your choice of title, actually, because just after Freedom to Walk, you mentioned in your sentence another thing that was I find super powerful. So I just wanted to give that as food for thought. You mentioned traveling energy, because that's also what you work on, because
More close to the point of, yeah, you mean my
yeah.
project.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I totally understand where your title is coming from, but if I hear that and I don't know your projects, I
You
would,
have no idea what it is about.
yeah, and I would
I
earlier
see.
think of something that assists me when I'm having issues with walking, for example. So that is maybe something to think about. That could be interesting.
Thank you.
I think your material choice was very, very well thought through as well. The washability of it, but also the water repellentness. I am, however, very curious, because when I saw your pictures of the soldering you did on the back of the solar panels, if these connections are still open, these might be prone to
Tricky.
get too moist. So that's
I thought about that. I think the next I did not have time actually to do that, but I think this connection should be covered with. We have the silicone as the easiest solution. I think it should be covered by silicone, because this is also the and also that it will help to keep them better. I mean, to protect these connections.
yeah.
Sure, because wires and these connections are not safe, and the balustrades
Yeah, and
are.
I get also within a specific project, you have to make choices. But I just wanted to give you that also from a safety precaution, to be aware of
Sure,
that.
sure.
It could be something in the future to really spend some time with, to make sure it's very safe as well on that side.
It should be. If
Yeah,
it has any potential to go out from this project, for sure, safety should be one of the most important things what you need to think about.
yeah. Yeah, and especially when you work with the wiring, because that was the only thing where I was like, oh, this is a shame, because you saw that you took your time with clearly designing how you would position it and everything. But and then I find it a little bit a shame that I see the wiring like that. If it's a deliberate design choice, go for it. But now it looked a little bit like it was a little bit in between. So maybe it could be interesting to see how you could integrate
To
the wiring
hidden.
a bit more.
This
Yeah.
was the thing I was thinking about. First, I made and I liked this how they are going, and I decided to keep it. But then I was also hesitating about that.
Yeah.
Is it correct choice or not?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think a wonderful project, wonderful first
Thank you
step
very
into
much.
exploration. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was very nice. It was. I was happy to be part of this course and to make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Really, it really looks professional. I'm really curious what you're gonna do next with it and where you're gonna take it. Like, do you wanna Celet, is it a prototype for a startup? What do you want to do next with it? So
Thank,
really start thinking about that and make a good plan.
thank you very much, Celia.
Just a very quick note. I am not sure if I missed in the presentation, but if it wasn't there, it would be good to include, like, how much battery will it charge on a sunny day on your walk for an hour, let's say, or like something like
No, you're right. It was not in presentation.
10
It was
I
missing.
ran 10 kilometers and I
Okay, yeah.
was charging.
Or I needed 6 hours. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
This
there are
calculation
different
should be.
variants. So you could
Mhm.
have actually in your video someone like running and showing 10 kilometers and this amount of charge, or someone walking on the mountain that is both forest and uncovered, and then it requires like 2 hours to charge the same amount. So it would be nice maybe to add in that also as infographics in your video, but also one slide in your presentation where you prove
Yeah, how it works.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anastasia.
Next, we have Lilith.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Lilith Barsakan. My project is Miano, Talk of Art. I'm sorry. And have you ever been in the art space? Have you ever paused, move, close steps away, approach a work to see brush strokes, then stepping back to see a whole image? Have you ever entered into the dialogue with a painting, trying to understanding or to share your own thoughts with it? Sometimes you speak more. Sometimes the artwork does. Sometimes you stay silent, waiting for the answer. Sometimes you speak endlessly, endlessly, not leaving space for the other voice. And have you ever experienced interact art where the artwork react out to you, share its emotion, respond to your presence, welcome you, and then gently sees you off? Then you are its whole world. It react to exist. In your absence, it dissolves into the environment, into nature. When you appear, its breath awakens, being to move again to meet you. And when you leave, it gently sees you off, then falls asleep once more, endless or finity, depend on whether you return. The idea Moana Talk of Art is a dialogue between human and art, a space where as time you speak to an artwork and the other, you find yourself speaking to your own reflection. Each encounter is different, each one honest. Lines throw, throws die, come alive, they being to move, to breathe, reliving form and feel almost alive. They carry a life within them, become a meeting point of two worlds, human and nature. Working process, I guess, is the most interesting part, and it have a lot of steps on it. The first one is shibori dyeing, the second biomaterial, combining linen with biomaterial, folding with origami shapes, electronic integration, because I want that my fabric starts moving every time when human communicate with it, making a frame to have the whole interesting project in the end and cover the lines, striking the assemblage, everything together. Shibori. What is shibori? Here we can see some of its examples. This is Japanese dyeing method, full of tradition. It's called It's called shibori. Folding, binding, twisting is the way how you can make shibori. And I look for a lot of shibori shapes and find interesting one for me. In the left part you can see it, and the origami shape, it will be look good with my shibori forms and continue its lines. And I took linen as a fabric, folding it like this and using onion skin to dyeing it. And which kind of result I have? The first part you can see full dyed example. I guess it's amazing color. And the second part, shibori dyed one with these lines, which I wanted to create. It's look pretty good in the sun. Biomaterial process. I had a lot of experience with it, trying with cotton, linen, and adding or make less some of it. Try a lot of recipes. I like these two ones and want to show how the differences was. The one of it was to paper. The one saved the fabric, but it helped me to have these lines to origami shapes, and which I use for my own work is water, gelatin, glycerin, alginate for this proportion. And here we can see the amazing shining, which helps to have gelatin. And it's the folding part. Folding, which follow the fabric pattern. And I really like this process. We're starting to make it origami shape, which follow the pattern and start to move it. Electronic parts, how I want to move these foldings. And I tried to communicate together stepper motor, distance sensors. I try a lot of distance motors and stepper motor, make the connections with Arduino and understand how it works and if it can work properly. In this part, you can see that it is. And after it, I printed with 3D printer some head of this motor to connect with fishing threads and fold all this construction. Frame, where I want to cover all these lines, all electronics, and that my work look finished. And how I did it, I use CNC machine for it, cutting, but first I made a little examples to understand how to connect it better and understand how work with it. And after cut my own frame, and I grinding it, painting on it to make it to make it in which color I want, and I did it. The other step is mix all these steps and have the final product. And I put the fabric inside of it. These threads come in the up part and connect with the stepper motor. I put all lines here and create, and here we can see that it's work. And final video.
Miano is a project between human, nature, art, and communication. A merging of nature and the human. A bridge between us, weaving a connection between architecture and nature. Responding not only physically, but also spiritually, touching the closest most hidden center of soul. Miona, dissolve into silence, becoming one with nature when you are gone. But the moment you appear, it awakens, it reaches for you, embraces you, begins to speak. And as you leave, it slowly folds back into itself, falling quiet once more, watching you go.
Thank you all to listen and enjoy it with me.
Thank you so much for sharing. So excited to see how you came to the next step. Wow. Yeah. It's a really interesting thing, right? When textiles and art are starting to respond to the audience. So my first question is also during making the video, what was the response of the audience?
Can you say again? I'm sorry. The
Well,
question.
in the video, we see that people are approaching the artwork, and I'm very curious to their reaction, how they interact with it, what were their feelings?
At first part, everyone waiting for it and starting to communicate, it was like, wow, how it worked and how moving. And after the time when they just come around, it's starting working. It's just work. And every time they don't wait that project will moving, that Miano is moving, and every time it was new reactions, new feelings, new emotions. Like they refuse about project, but project never refuse about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I always find it very interesting because personally I work also a lot in my studio with art pieces that work or respond to the audience. And I also find that very important in the process because sometimes during a process we have this feeling of idea in mind that you want to give the audience. And sometimes people experience it differently. That's why I'm asking this. I think it would be very interesting now that you have this art piece to explore this in different settings with different public to see how they interact with your object.
Yes, I
And
wanted to try it, and it was one of my ideas, but I don't have that much time because of it. All the people who communicate with it was people in Fab Lab, in lab, and because of it, they know what about the project
yeah,
and everything, and I don't have that emotion with the person who nothing know about the project.
yeah, that could be a very interesting next step, of course. Yeah. I really enjoyed your during your presentation that you shared the making process of it. And what I really like is how you combine traditional craftsmanship with new technologies. I think that is always a very nice combination that brings out the best in both of them. And I really enjoyed how you took us also with your visuals and pictures through that journey. I think that was very nicely done. That really helps to follow also the process that you've been in the past months. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you too.
I was just very curious, why did you choose linen as a material?
Because I need something not too heavy, because motor is not too power and can do that. And I like how the sun work with it. We don't have that weather that will be sunny and I can make video in the sunny day. But in the sun it was really good, and the shapes playing every time. And I like how the linen and sunlight work together.
Yeah, yeah,
And because of I need anything not too heavy, that motor can work.
yeah. Yeah, because that was my first thought, because in my experience, linen can still be pretty rough. to work with. And I also find the combination interesting. Usually artists often paint on linen. So when you talk about art and textiles, I also saw a nice combination there as well. The only thing that I was really wondering about, because you have a beautiful video, but currently you have the object outside. And in the beginning of the video, I find that a bit difficult because the movement that I saw without the explanation could also be partly created by wind, for example. So it could be interesting to think about in the future, in which scenario does your artwork speaks the loudest and really brings your message across? Because I get your connection with nature, but do you want to enhance that in a natural environment? Or would the work be stronger, for example, indoors, where there's no air, less influence, and the work can really speak louder?
My work must be in the closest places, but in video it look pretty good in the nature. Because of it, I made it. And if I can, I prefer to put it in some space where be a big windows to see all this nature.
Yeah.
But of course, it must be indoor, not indoor, but inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super curious where the work will travel. Yeah, really. I encourage you to start exploring it and showcasing it in different environments. Super fun. Yeah. Congratulations.
I couldn't totally agree with the comments of Malu, because for me as well, I was imagining what if your setup is, because you have the frame, so it makes it like an art piece, but it's alive, your art piece. And it also makes the frame of the window. What if it was interior? There are some windows and a white wall, and then you have your frame of your window art piece that is moving. I found very nice the technique for natural dyeing and potentializing the color on the folds, and it's very nice that the passion of Svetlana natural dyeing is contagious, and you also went into that, and I think that it looks very nice. I also have another comment regarding your presentation, because it was really very nice to see that you actually use so many different tools in the Fab Lab, and a combination of, we really see that you both master now different techniques, but you also took advantage of the different technologies that you can find. But you did a very interesting trick, because as a technical person, I was like looking forward to see the slide of how you connect the motor with a textile from the back, because this is the problem with origami. And I don't know if I was like, where is the slide? I want to see how she solved that. But you did the trick, like sometimes something is hidden. So yeah, I hope that I can see this detail in your documentation.
Thank you. I will add it.
Okay, next is Windason. Thank you, Lilith.
Thank you
Okay,
too.
thank you. Okay, thank you. First, let me have a look for my video.
Day, countless individuals face the daunting task of getting dressed, a simple act that many of us take for granted. For those with physical disabilities, traditional clothing can be a significant barrier to independence and dignity. Imagine a world where fashion empowers rather than restricts. With innovative designs merging technology and textiles, we can create touch-free clothing that opens, closes, and adjusts effortlessly. By utilizing advanced materials like pneumatic actuators and magnetic closures, we can transform the dressing experience into one that fosters autonomy. This isn't just about convenience, it's about inclusivity. By focusing on adaptive garments, specifically for lower body dressing, we can enhance the lives of those who need it most. Touch-free clothing represents a leap forward in fashion, merging style with functionality and ensuring that everyone can express themselves without barriers. This is the future of clothing, accessible, empowering, and designed for all.
Okay, have you seen that?
Yeah,
Okay,
good.
thank you. As you see in the video, my aim is to develop a touch-free clothing for physically disabled or physically challenged persons. So, as you know all, at Fabricademy, we have got different experiences. We have seen and developed different products at each week. And thank you all Fabricademy teams for this incredible week at each week. So this is my Fabricademy experience at each week. Coming back to my project is about touch-free clothing for physically challenged or disabled peoples. According to WHO, we know that 1.3 billion people are significantly disabled peoples in the world, as well as in Ethiopia, specifically 19.7% of the population were under disabilities. So assistive clothing will blend this style and function to promote independent dressing for disabled people. So those are very challenged people to wear and doffing their clothes. We need to have developed this assistive clothing for them. So adaptive fashion is one assistive clothes. So when you see the evolution from early years up to 21st century, we have seen different development stages for adaptive fashion. So the state of the art in showed that the adaptive fashion line zipper, magnetic closure, and the easy dressing system, as you see in the image, they have used a zipper and magnetic closure for them. So my research question is how can I make physically disabled people inclusive in fashion technology? And the first one, and the second one is how can clothing be designed to simplify the lives of people with physically challenged persons. So for whom we develop these products for physically disabled individuals, for occupational therapists and caregivers, adaptive fashion designers, wearable technology developers and researchers will use these products. So extensive research were done in adaptive shirt, soft robotic gloves, and inflatable textile actuation, but none of them working on developing a touch-free product for lower body as well as top. So by exploring this soft robotic and textile-based actuators, we can develop or we can assist with autonomous puncturing and roughing. So this project will touch technological innovation, societal benefit, disability inclusion, and community-centered research. So it can address real-world problems of vulnerable populations. These are the reference projects. As you see in the video, Paul Ademuk also developed assistive product for by integrating soft robotics. Silver Adaptive Clothing also developed different products using Velcro. Tommy Adaptive Fashion also developed different products using magnetic and buttons. Another reference project shows that wearable airbags which can prevent healthcare for elder peoples. And also in Tottenham Fashion brand also develop ethical and sustainable materials for adaptive and inclusive designs. So when we come back to the reference project for prototype or for soft robotics, the first one is textile actuation. As you seen, Demil and Brook developed using accordion fabric, non-stretchable fabric, TPU fabric, and latex bladder. Using this, they develop textile actuation or robotics that can be bending, straighten, and twisting. As well as the other researcher, Traveler, developed prototype fabric by integrating functional fibers. Also, another Lee also developed soft actuated objects by knitted fabric. As you see in here, by using threads and knitted fabrics, they developed soft robotics and actuation. So my mood board was for physically challenged people to make them inclusive in fashion. As you see in here, when they wear an adaptive clothing, they become happy. So the first one is to develop the product. We need to have some user testimonies. So based on, we identify requirement of the physically challenged peoples. As you seen in the video, we have interviewed different physically challenged peoples, what they challenged. And first we have demographic data of them, and then mobility information clothing experience. As you seen, most of the testimony shows us most of them have completely dependent people are there. They have no any adaptive product. They have challenged with the fasteners, and different functional preference technology also assessed, and feedback and expectation are also assessed. We can see here. So when we summarize the user testimonies, the study reveals that most people prefer adaptive fashion for daily wear, easier fastening system, and they selected cotton, cost affordable, comfort, and easier to cleaning. So design or fabrication will continue after that. This card pattern making, cutting, and assembling, or the next. This one is the first prototype. Then we have developed another prototype. As you see in here, we tested the fitness. And also here, after easier attaching at the knee. And this one is a complete outfit. This one is a complete outfit and look. So then soft robotics will come, textile-based actuation will be done. But here, due to some material limitation, I'm not getting the actual one. So here also I tested using BP pressurizer and using knitted and different fabric. I try to actuate textile actuation. Here also I try using knitted fabric. I try to some actuation, but still the project is on the development stage. So further research required on textile actuation materials and integration of them for assistive clothing is future activities. So as a conclusion, adaptive fashion is a tool for empowerment, and by merging soft robotics with textile design, so this research can contribute to the creation of inclusive, functional, and aesthetically pleasing garments that enhance autonomy for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your project. It's so fascinating because we've seen each other also during the midterms, and I'm so happy to see that somebody actually went to the people that they are designing for, really get their feedback. You have a clear ground on which you are going to build your concept. So I really enjoy that, because I think often designers forget that specific target group that you are creating something for. So really, thank you so much for doing that. I think that is very essential, especially if you work with a group of people with specific needs. I think it's a very good starting point. I also really enjoyed the fact that you mentioned fashion, because what we see very often happening with these kind of caring garments is that it becomes a medical thing instead of something beautiful, something that you really want to wear. So the fashion aspect is mentioned. However, I do think that there is still much more to explore there. So that is something maybe for future development, that it becomes something that is not only functional, but that really stimulates the person also in really wanting to wear it. So that is something for that part. I'm very curious to your next steps, how you would like to continue this process. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, actually, I am a researcher and lecturer in Ethiopia, the Bahar University. So I teach fashion engineering students. So I will continue this project in the next, like using my students as well as mine will continue this project, and this wearable technology, assistive clothing, soft robotics, what I have get from Fabricademy is very important for me in the future journey also.
And do you envision that it will stay within the realm of research, or would you like to develop like a more commercial line that would be available for people?
Actually, at the first stage, I will focus on the research one. Then next, we will have commercialized. Here in Ethiopia, we have no any adaptive fashion development or a designer who focus on these products. So maybe in the future, we will continue this one.
And do you feel like now that you during your research, you find specific issues that have the most potential, that they have the biggest group that you could help? Because I can imagine it's also very personal, of course.
Yes, there is rehabilitation centers here in our city as well as in Addis Ababa. There is a rehabilitation center. So physically challenged, very challenged people are grouped in the rehabilitation, so we can experiment this one.
Yeah, I can imagine that could be helpful also for next steps to really categorize specific groups with specific needs. I can imagine sometimes that could be a bit difficult, but that can really help you focusing on specific issues, challenges, and solutions that you can create within the textiles. The only thing that I would really like to ask is, because I really enjoyed the footage that you took, also that we could really see, and we were there with you during your interviews. I really enjoyed that. But your video was a lot of information in a very short time. There was moving images, there was a voiceover, there was music, there was written text. And because it was so much together, I wasn't able to read all the written text, for example, because I was also trying to listen to the voiceover. So maybe that could help in your video to make sure we really get your main message, because the video is super short and you want to really grab people with that visual, of course. And the same goes for your presentation as well. I think it could help to really make a distinction between your reference projects, and maybe even spend a little bit less focus on that and really focus on, it's good that you mention it, but now there was a lot of focus on that. Maybe we can balance it out a bit more, that there is more focus on what you actually did and what you really want to continue with.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay,
And I
thank you.
wish you a lot of luck with the next.
I understand. I also have a small comment to add. It was nice that you put also together all this experimentation you did in Fabricademy and came up with a full vest. I would tailor-made this to specific like scenarios and case uses, but maybe it would be also interesting to run a workshop with these people and understand how each of them would customize this in their daily challenges, daily needs, and daily lives. Like ask
Okay.
them in the customization.
Okay. Okay.
Keep it up.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, so thank you, Anderson. We move on with Maddie.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to share my video first. Is there sound? Sorry.
Yes, there is sound.
Hey, hi, I'm Maddie, and my project is titled Prairie Interfaces. It's an e-textile artwork that shares the story of one of North America's most endangered ecosystems, prairies. In particular, the region in Texas that I'm from, the Blackland Prairie. So most of the land where I live looks like this, and remaining bits of prairie are hard to find. They're described as islands in a sea of injured land. So how do we sensitize ourselves to an ecosystem that we rarely see? I found these quotes in my reading that I felt illustrated that. So a prairie is receptive and horizontal. The sky is half the landscape, yet it begs intimate inspection, kneel and gaze at the first 18 inches. And there is another way of responding to environmental amnesia. It's simply to begin the process of remembering how the landscape used to be. So much creativity, local knowledge, connection to place, and sense of meaning has already been extinguished. We need to nurture a sense of radical ecological alternatives. So I started planning the project by looking at land use data to understand why and how the ecosystem was so threatened. Development, suppression of natural cycles, and agricultural use play a big part. From this, I created a tactile and interactive map where touch livens a barren digital landscape. I worked with natural dyes to color the tapestry, and I referenced a database of native plants and other dye stuff. And I found that cochineal, logwood, and coreopsis are native to the area. I also used madder, wild, black hollyhock, indigo, and black bean that came from France. And I chose to use a latch hook, which is very time consuming, but also beginner friendly. And I did this on and off for a month. And this type of sensor is underexplored in e-textiles, but a great paper was published around the time that we proposed our projects. And this quote matched my thoughts and my hopes for the project exactly. So textural interfaces not only create tactile landscapes that invite touch and encourage exploration, but also enable unique sensing behaviors that emerge from yarn interactions. And the method I used goes along with the cut pile, and the interactions especially focus on stroking and compression. And I made the sensor areas by combining conductive threads with the yarn strands. I worked with voltage dividers and Arduino to observe their behavior. I noticed that there were analog and digital qualities to the sensors, and that was reflected in my processing sketch. So whether the sensor is touched or not allows the plants to populate in the sketch, and the opacity of each image that populates is determined by the map values and the pressure that you place on the sensor. And I tested different resistor values to obtain the best range because each sensor varies in resistance from each other. And I used ChatGPT to help structure the code and basic behavior, but I continued learning processing as I went along, and I was able to make changes to the final appearance on my own. And there you can see the conductive threads that are embedded in the sensor areas. The less saturated areas surrounding it don't have conductive threads. I also made custom wiring that clip into a little tuft. You gather some yarn and some conductive thread together, and you get a working sensor. And the output is a digital prairie that fills with wildflowers, which are essential for pollinator and migratory bird populations. They're also really beautiful and recognizable to us as part of this landscape. Altogether, I have a portable and adaptable installation that can connect to a screen like a laptop or also be put onto a projector. Either way, I hope that it lets us see our touch as a potential to connect with, restore, and protect the places that we live. Thank you very much, especially to Asla, Cecilia, Anna, Irya, Amber, Flora, Johanna, Alessia, Taja, Emma, Louise, and Anush.
Wow, this is so lovely. I didn't wrote a lot of things down, and in this case, that's a very good thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's I already fell a little bit in love with the story of your project during the midterm. I think it's a very interesting way of approaching our relationship with the land. I also think that the quotes were beautiful that you shared. And that what you mentioned about the horizon and the sky is half of what you see. I saw that very clearly in your visualization as well. It's a shame though that it was black, because yeah, what was your idea behind that? Because now it's just black.
Yeah, we explored a lot of different options, and I think in a space where it's projected, the images that appear, they kind of have a little bit of a glow around them. So the more that they appear, the brighter the space gets.
Yeah, okay, I totally get it. Then in
Yeah.
that case, really mention that during your presentation, because if you're
Yeah.
gonna project it, it's a totally different thing than when you see it on the screen, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, then I totally understand your decision for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I wrote with very big letters, Ars Electronica. This is really a project for Ars Electronica. I don't know if you're familiar with the festival, but I would definitely recommend submitting your work to them because it's a perfect fit for that.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, they are really into the combination also of the tactile and the digital. I think this could work very well. And they have this really cool, deep, immersive space that could even be a very interesting thing to connect this to. So yeah, I think it's wonderful. The only thing, if I can have one little remark, is the video. I was not able to read everything that usually I missed a little bit of the last sentence, last part of the sentence. I think it has to do with the internet connection probably. But maybe that's good to keep in mind, because therefore your story gets a little bit diffused during the video. But maybe it's different when you see it in person. But maybe that's good to keep in mind.
Yeah, okay. I was a little bit worried about that too, so I can make those changes.
What do you have in mind yourself? What would you like to do as a next step with this?
I am going back to Texas because I'm in Amsterdam right now. So I hope I can engage with some of the environmental spaces, some of the art spaces that are part of my network there, and maybe propose to show this or present this in some of those spaces.
Yeah. And when you mentioned native plants that you dyed the material with, do you mean native to Texas or native to the Netherlands?
Native to Texas, some of them.
Yeah, yeah. So that really informs your color palette as well that you eventually worked with. Yeah. Yeah, really lovely. I'm also very curious if you take this back to the land itself, how different people that live there will also respond to it, because it's very close to their heart probably. So it's very interesting to explore that. Yeah. I'm super curious. Please keep sharing your process, because I look forward to seeing where this will end up.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Maddie. I think it came together beautifully. And we really know the amount of work that goes also in finishing this to perfection. And you did that, because what you don't see is that every single loop is brought back under so that it's perfectly finished on the sides. So you can look at it from below. And it's as beautiful from below as it is from above. And one more thing that I thought it's worth to share is, and that maybe can come out further, when you are in person in front of it, the nicest thing is how intuitive it is. So that is something I think as well we can highlight more, either in the presentation or in the video, because everybody did the same thing. The moment it was on the table, everybody goes to these colored areas and it's like, oh, I want to touch this part. So this element that works, that is so intuitive, that stimulates the visitor to actually interact, I think is also really, really important.
I would love to see that in the video.
We all did the same thing. And immediately, like touching these different parts, is like, oh, did I only have to touch here? I was like, okay, perfect. This is working. This is like no instruction, no information. So there you
That's so
design the piece of
powerful.
textile.
That's super powerful. You should definitely highlight that more if that is the case, because that is a perfect user-centered design in that sense. So yeah, highlight that, please. And also the finishing. I would love to see those pictures as well.
Yeah, I think I'll highlight a lot of that in my documentation, and during the exhibition, I'll try and get some nice captures of all of that happening.
We're just gonna film a bunch of people interacting. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Next we have Marcela. We move all the way to Mexico. Good morning.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
I don't know what happened. I can share my screen. Sorry.
What do you see?
Oh.
Perfect, it's coming up. Remember to share which audio.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I want to present my final project.
We cannot see the video. We see a big gray box.
Through a wearable system inspired by... You don't see the video?
No, we see the background of your screen and a big gray box. That means that you're not sharing everything.
Okay, perfect.
So try to stop sharing. Share everything, the whole computer, and then go full screen. And when you're pressing share, make sure that on the right side of your screen, you're clicking on share sound.
Yeah. Right now you can see? Hello
No,
everyone.
we still have a big box, gray box on top. That's probably the
Okay.
pictures of all the people.
I don't know what happened, sorry.
Okay, small enough. Try to leave it like this. It became smaller, the box.
Mhm. And right now you can see it?
Push it in full screen.
Full screen.
Yeah, that one. Okay, play.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Hello everyone. I want to present my final project. My name is Marcela Duarte. Explore the attempt to reconnect the human body with nature through a wearable system inspired by root structure. Designed to sense and grow in response to its environment, the project confronts unexpected absence. When no growth occurs, the piece shifts from a living system to a reflection of disconnection, questioning what remains when there is nothing left to respond to. Initial intention. The project began with a simple question: can the body reconnect with nature through design? I set out to create a wearable system that would not just represent nature, but physical connected. And I imagine a suite that behaves like roots. Roots sense, adapt, and respond to the environment. They grow through contact, color, and time. The suite was conceived as an extension of the logic onto the human body. I drew inspiration from root system and the different way nature connects and communicate. Roots expand, intertwine, and respond to their surrounding, forming complex networks that sustain life. This exploration guide the design, translating this pattern of connection into a wearable structure. The form was developed in Reno, exploring organic structure that could wrap around the body. The goal was to translate the logic of root system into a manufacturable geometry. Fabrication process. Digital model was dematerialized using CNC milling. A mold was produced as a controlled environment where organic growth could potentially occur. Expectation of growth. First week, the initial intention was to introduce chia seed into the mold. The expectation was that over time, living matter would grow and occupy the structure, allowing nature to complete the design. In the third week, from there, the next step was to translate the growth into a wearable piece, a suite composed of living roots that would extend and connect across the body. But I have a failure. But growth did not happen. The seed did not develop as expected. The system remained static. This is not just a technical issue. It revealed a deeper condition. Chip in strategy. Instead of forcing natural growth, I turned to biomaterials. I developed a material that mimics the appearance of roots, not alive, but resembling life. The focus shifts toward texture and transparency. By working with semi-transparent biomaterial, I explore how something artificial can evoke organic presence. Are meant to grow, to connect, to respond. The project does not show that process, it showed its absence. The question is no longer how to design for connection, but what happened where there's nothing left to connect to. Okay, this is a presentation and I showed you the video. You can see the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Try to play with audio. Let's see. No, just try to play. Yeah. Okay. Full screen?
Yeah, you can see?
Okay, was the video. You don't hear anything? Ah, okay.
I heard the music, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was beautiful, the music. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And first of all, this is part of doing research. Not everything always works out in the way we expect it to. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of doing research in itself, I think. So yeah, I'm happy to see that you tried, that you did it, and that you were tough enough to change course and do something different and explore your story different. And I find it interesting how you reframed your concept into a kind of meta idea of how we relate to the world. So I really appreciate that shift in your thought and how you were able to redirect it. How much time did you have left in the end to redirect it?
Maybe the 2 last week, because in the last review, they told me maybe in the mall the seed don't grow and you don't have much time, and I need and in that moment I need to redefine all the concept and try to work with biomaterials, because the seed don't grow, they stuck in the wood, and they don't I try to make a different mold, but the machine, the thermoformadora, doesn't work, and I was to need to redefine all my ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that must have been tough, especially at the end of a process like this. And I think that's also something that we can all learn from, because eventually with these things, especially if you work with living organisms, it's super intense when we start to depend on that in our design process as well. So of course, when you start to co-create with a biomaterial or with a living thing that you can't completely control, it's always good to have this backup plan. And I always like to see it as a kind of like a train has to have two tracks to be able to keep running. So if everything is only on one side, then at some point the train will collapse if that can't hold anymore. So to always have this separate side that you are more in control of, that could be helpful maybe for a next project in which you don't fully depend on it, to give yourself also some peace of mind. For sure. I really enjoyed the visuals of the materials that you experimented with. I would have loved to see a little bit more of pulling and bending and moving, because it was tactile, but I missed a little bit. Now you were just showing it front and back, and I would love to see a little bit more of the materiality of it. That could really work there. I didn't fully understand the connection of the material that you put on the body with the LEDs. So when something like that happens, when a project doesn't work in the way that you expect, sometimes less is more. So I always try to avoid throwing everything together that I know, just to hope that something beautiful comes out of it, but really make sure that you go back to the base and what is really needed to tell your story. Can you maybe tell a little bit more about what you eventually created on the body?
Okay, do you mean like the garment itself, not the electronic?
Both actually, because I saw LEDs, you were talking about haptic feedback, I saw an organic shape. Can you tell a little bit more of how that's related to each other?
Yeah, I thought the electronic like a connection, like a roof in the garden, like when I work with the electronic and the different kind of material, I see the connection between the connection is a system, and I thought the roots they are a system, and I want to try to connect electronic to like a root, like a metaphor of the roots.
Yeah. Yeah, I think eventually with this, it really helps to go back to the base. What is the core of what you want to say? Because I get where your mind is going, but I don't think that completely came across in the final prototype that you showed. But overall, I think the idea is beautiful, and it definitely asks for more exploration for sure.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if somebody else still wanted to share something. Congratulations, Marcella. I think you did pivot magnificently, last minute, and that is really something to be recognized. It takes a lot of time and effort also to do that, and a lot of determination. So well done also making that happen. And with this, I think since we are 10 minutes late, we're going to have a short bio break. Still 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and see you back online immediately after. For the ones of you who needs to test your screen sharing, Nat is opening a breakout room.
I have opened a breakout room so that you can test your screen sharing. And during the break, I will be playing some videos from Fabricademy.
Yeah.
So,
How can I join the breakout room? Is already open?
yeah, it is open.
Yeah, because I want to test. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mhm. Sorry, I will. Mhm.
Practitioners, it's algae based. It's a polymer. This is a garment and a material that we designed here with a group of different practitioners. It's algae based. It's a polymer. We're looking at alginate, bioplastics in this case. We've done a lot of research and experimentation into putting this material together. Algae actually are an overabundant material, therefore not taking away something important locally for an ecosystem, but trying to rebalance what is going on in the environment. And it is combined with wool, another biomaterial, a very traditional one. We all know of its incredible properties, yet farmers really struggle. Either the production is too small to be used, or the type of hairs are not fine enough for making garments. So when we use all the other types of wool that are not fit for certain types of smaller local productions, we can actually use it as a composite. We strengthened this alginate mixture in order to create a composite material, a bioplastic that is strong and actually very resistant.
About these communities of practice, how we can build upon this knowledge. You can contribute after, and we can continue and make technological innovation for all. We can take a technological innovation that is happening in one side of the world. Due to the fact that it is very new, you don't want to scale it up to a mass production scale, so you cannot serve the rest of the world. If this innovation is open, then you can transmit it to the other side of the world, have and install a microfactory, share the data between the places, and you can make innovation happen a lot faster. You really feel you're bringing education equally, and you are distributing knowledge, and you're making a community that is connecting. And this is the nicest part of it.
design a biomaterial, you keep building up all the different elements. We have a ton of research and knowledge on biochromes, so color coming from animal, bacterial, botanical, fungal, composite, mineral sources, and they're all natural. Both organic and inorganic. Some of them we need to grow in the biolab, so we start to tap into biotechnology, microbiology, and others have really their roots into a chemical aspect, so in the chemistry, and we deep dive into those. We can design nowadays a material with its life cycle in mind, which determines the product lifetime and make sure actually we can bring back something positive into the environment. None of these materials are harmful, none of them will create unbalance into the ecosystem, and yet we can be wearing something new every day.
Soft robotics is a very technological and new field. When you think about robots, you think about rigid robots. Normally you will have to have a lot of processes that they imply, like this one, for example. We bring soft robotics to a very easy and accessible way to prototype it in the lab with using this technique that lets you understand how the air and the movement flows. Many of the students use this concept as inflatables. We have these hoods that they can open and close if you're on the bike, mattresses that they fold and unshape, a puffer jacket that inflates when it's cold. We have been shifting the content because there are always technological advances. You always need to update the program because you are at the edge of technology.
Fabricademy is based worldwide. We have labs in many continents, in many countries. It's actually tailor-made for everyone, educators, students, but also professionals that want to really learn specific skills and advance their own practice. Being more sustainable, being more innovative, creating together projects that can embrace different challenges and solve problems in specific communities, for example.
In 5 years, we managed to gather a community of women around the Textile Fab Lab. They get knowledge and they are sharing tools and support each other. One thing that we heard a lot is they feel they can do anything. Fabricademy training, it's really giving them power.
It's a place where we collaborate together, we think together, but we also build together. No matter where you come from, what is your background or education. This learning environment where you can really create your own path.
I've always had this passion for fashion and textiles, and during university I grew this passion also for sustainability and for microorganisms, but the way I would put it into practice did not make sense for me. I found this Fabricademy course. It was a super nice opportunity to shift my way of thinking somehow. I was always trained to, we have a problem and you find a solution, but there was no creativity in the science, and that's kind of what Fabricademy opened my mind to. And now today I'm doing a PhD in mycelium materials, and I can really see how that affected my mindset. How to find the passion in what you're doing is really about finding the creativity underlying what you're doing.
For the latest years, one domain that the students have been looking forward as the next thing is bioelectronics. How to combine electronics with biodegradable substrates, or to create electronics that they are biodegradable, or to create energy from bacteria.
Whoever needs to test, please go to the breakout room now.
This concept, and then it's about the level of each student that wants to dive in each of the concepts.
This is a garment and a material that we designed here with a group of different practitioners. It's algae-based. It's a polymer. We're looking at alginate, bioplastics in this case. We've done a lot of research and experimentation into putting this material together. Algae actually are an overabundant material, therefore not taking away something important locally for an ecosystem, but trying to rebalance what is going on in the environment.
Alberto, can you please go to the breakout room?
A very traditional one. We all know of its incredible properties, yet farmers really struggle. Either the production is too small to be used, or the type of hairs are not fine enough for making garments. So when we use all the other types of wool that are not fit for certain types of smaller local productions, we can actually use it as a composite. We strengthened this alginate mixture in order to create a composite material, a bioplastic that is strong and actually very resistant.
About these communities of practice, how we can build upon this knowledge. You can contribute after, and we can continue and make technological innovation for all. We can take a technological innovation that is happening in one side of the world due to the fact that it is very new. You don't want to scale it up to a mass production scale, so you cannot serve the rest of the world. If this innovation is open, then you can transmit it to the other side of the world, have and install a microfactory, share the data between the places, and you can make innovation happen a lot faster. You really feel you're bringing education equally, and you are distributing knowledge, and you're making a community that is connecting. And this is the nicest part of it.
When you design a biomaterial, you keep building up all the different elements. We have a ton of research and knowledge on biochromes, so color coming from animal, bacterial, botanical, fungal, composite, mineral sources, and they're all natural. Both organic and inorganic. Some of them we need to grow in the biolab, so we start to tap into biotechnology, microbiology, and others have really their roots into a chemical aspect, so in the chemistry, and we deep dive into those. We can design nowadays a material with its life cycle in mind, which determines the product lifetime and make sure actually we can bring back something positive into the environment. None of these materials are harmful, none of them will create unbalance into the ecosystem, and yet we can be wearing something new every day.
Soft robotics is a very technological and new field. When you think about robots, you think about rigid robots. Normally you will have to have a lot of processes that they imply, like this one, for example. We bring soft robotics to a very easy and accessible way to prototype it in the lab with using this technique that lets you understand how the air and the movement flows. Many of the students use this concept as inflatables. We have these hoods that they can open and close if you're on the bike, mattresses that they fold and unshape, a puffer jacket that inflates when it's cold. We have been shifting the content because there are always technological advances. You always need to update the program because you are at the edge of technology.
Fabricademy is based worldwide. We have labs in many continents, in many countries. It's actually tailor-made for everyone, educators, students, but also professionals that want to really learn specific skills. And
Super nice videos, you guys. Really, really cool to see that part of it as well.
Yeah, they're just out. they are just going to be actually be published soon. So first time preview. So we start up again. And the first one up is Alberto.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. I'm going to start sharing my video.
Knowledge is
Can you go
scattered
full screen?
everywhere around us, stored in shells, in pages, in fragments. But not all knowledge is easy to access. Some of it is technical, hidden in the processes, learned only through trial and error. Inflatable textiles are one of those cases. They exist across disciplines, but understanding how to make them is not always clear. The information exists, but it is often scattered, incomplete, or difficult to reproduce. So the question became, how can this knowledge be gathered, structured, and shared? What if a book was not only something you read, but something you could activate? Because knowledge is not static, it becomes alive when you use it, and even more when you share it. To understand these processes, you have to make them, to test materials, to explore them, to push them until they fail. Each variable matters: temperature, pressure, time, material. Small changes produce completely different behaviors. Most attempts don't work the first time, and that's where the knowledge is. Because sealing is not just a step in the process, it defines how the textile performs. A system that gathers materials, methods, and results, not only to document, but to make them understandable, extended through a platform where each process can be followed, replicated, and adapted. Because this is not just about making objects, it's about enabling others to make their own. Because knowledge only matters when it can be shared.
Thank you very much. Now, well, my project is called Textiles Under Pressure. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Textiles Under Pressure. It is about inflatable textiles. It was a topic that was very, very interesting for me since some workshops I took in different conferences but I really find it very, very difficult to grasp. So I wanted to make some sort of book platform and continue to make maybe a community for sharing this kind of processes. So we see that inflatable textiles are everywhere. I mean, we can find them in sports, in fashion, in architecture. They have been used for some time now. Air is not just filling the space, it's also shaping the structure. I mean, you have worked with this, you know that the behavior of the material can vary a lot with air or without it. Most of the knowledge is scattered everywhere. There are some papers. You were kind enough to show me some very, very interesting papers regarding this topic, but I mean, they're very, very technical. I wanted to make this easy, very open source, gather most of the information I could get, and mostly to make it repeatable. I think that's the key to reproduce these same experiments. Here, a special thanks to Saskia Helinska and Javier Alboguijarro, who have a lot of documentation about it. I think Saskia's Fabricademy project was based on this also. So how can we manufacture these inflatable textiles in a way that's more, understandable, reproducible, and accessible way? This is the how I manage this. So first we have to gather a lot of information about materials, about the layers, how to seal these materials, where have these techniques have been used, and of course the design of these chambers is, well, these textiles in general. Here we have some examples. This is from NASA. This is from some runways, inflatable everywhere. First we find some sources. You were kind enough, as I said, to show me some papers, some articles about it. The state of the art of where are we right now, what has been done, by whom, what kind of methods were used, what kind of materials. The materials I wanted to focus on for this part particularly, it's materials that are easy to find, materials that are, non-toxic, not particularly expensive. I mean, I'm not saying cheap, but not expensive at least, and how to properly design for this kind of applications, right? This research project is a work in progress and will continue to be so, because we will gather more and more information about it and experiment more. That's the cool part about it. The next part of this project was the test. It was a hands-on research about different methods for sealing different materials to prove their effectiveness or to disprove them. For example, one of the biggest failures I had was working with Mylar, this kind of emergency blankets, sort of like, this is Mylar actually, the one in the left, because it doesn't stick to itself. It's very, very difficult. I tried with the hot end of the 3D printer. I tried with laser. I tried with the iron for vinyl, and I couldn't just do it. So I mean, it was one of the important parts of the project because I learned from that. The tests were done through machines, to the different tools. What kind of parameters can be used for each machine? What kind of materials can we use? As I've said, this materials should be easy to buy, easy to come by. What kind of variables are used in every part of the process? What kind of processes can we use? And of course, the failures. And the third part was actually the book, where I compiled all this information. The book is the one that you saw in the video. This image on the right is the materials I'm using. This is a matrix of the different materials. I will show you now. But the goal of this part is to compile this information into a book and share it. So if you go to the Fabricademy website, you can find a tutorial and all the files to reproduce this book in your lab, which is, I mean, a lot easier than send it from Mexico, for example. I included some step-by-step guides, like a tutorial with all the files, what kind of materials can be used, and also it would be very interesting that every lab that wants to reproduce this book could have their own materials that are easier to get in their own localities. And the files for 3D printing, for example, the valves, the laser cut patterns, everything is online, so you can reproduce it. And this is the book. What could be the next steps? The garments would be very, very appropriate. I mean, maybe we can find some runways here in Mexico where we can test the reach of these inflatable textiles. Complement the website, add more information as time goes by. Maybe start some sort of platform for sharing this kind of knowledge. For example, start with a Reddit post or something like that. Start growing a community and maybe end up with something like Materium base. I mean, I love Materium. I use it all the time, and it's just great. And it's open source, which is also, amazing. And the final point is to get a community that can, share their own knowledge, ask questions, and get their questions answered. This is my contact if you want to contact me. And thank you very much. I'll stop sharing so I can show you the book. So this is the book. As I said, it's like very frugal. It's very easy to make. This is one example of the inflatable things we can make. Is a pattern. It's very easy to do and reproduce with the machines you can have in a Fab Lab, for example. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your presentation and video. I'm super curious because this is a question that I asked you also during the midterm. What is your target group? For who are you making this at the moment?
Well, at first it started just, for me, because I didn't really got a lot of information. We saw, like, we did a practical thing on the soft robotics part, but I wanted more. I wanted more information. I wanted more, state of the art. So it started with me, and now I can compare with, not compare to, I talked to some of my peers, which may be also interested. And for example, here in Mexico, the inflatable textiles, it's nowhere. So I think it would be a very, very interesting way to, make some noise and start, growing a community of, curious people about inflatables.
Yeah, I'm super happy to see that Fabricademy brought you to this specific technique that you're so excited about. I mean, that means that this in itself already worked and did a good job. I think that is wonderful. I'm very curious to how we can make this, how we can take this to the next level, because I really enjoy this idea of this open source platform, this idea and this inner drive to share everything, and the combination in a book of tactile experience and theory. I think that is very interesting. It's a kind of recipe book. But the reason that I'm asking also, what is your target group? Because what I miss right now is the contextualization of the materials. Because if I design for architecture, I have different parameters, different needs for a material than when I work, for example, very closely to the body. So as you showed also during your presentation, you have a lot of different applications where this is already being used. I would definitely stimulate to make a division there and make sure that that you know who you are talking to in your book. Also, with the tone of voice, are these people that are seamstress that have a kind of textile knowledge, or are these people that have never worked with textiles before? It's a totally different angle.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that could really help to focus a little bit more. And also the aesthetic part is really important, especially if you want to create something for designers. It's important that also the aesthetics of the whole product that you are developing are also inviting the designer to interact with your object. So I think that could really, really help for the next step. Yeah, and I'm also very curious how inflatables in this case could go beyond test samples. So that is in line again with the contextualization of how do you apply it and which scenario, but also how will it go beyond a square with textile changing shape? How will that relate to wearing
to garment, or makes sense. Of course.
Yeah, because then it makes it more tangible.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's something that I want to mention in general for several people that already also presented yet. What I miss in some presentations, and I saw that happening here as well, is when you show images in your presentation, and these images are, for example, references or make sure that you mention the source, because that makes it easier for somebody that sees your presentation for the first time to divide between the images that you made and the images that you have as a reference. So really, to everybody, make sure that you mention your references with your images as well.
All right. Thank you. Yeah,
But I wish you a lot of luck and fun with this, because this could be very interesting if you develop it and go a little bit deeper into what you really want to say there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Berto. I will put a bunch of comments also in the spreadsheet, and for the sake of time, I think we will move to Montserrat.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, hello, good morning, afternoon, evening.
Monse, I don't know if you are talking, but we cannot hear. You're like muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you
I think we lost just a little bit, so if you
see
could
my screen, right?
yes, go full screen and just recap this part that we missed. We completely missed you talking over the presentation.
Okay, so I'm gonna start from the beginning. Yeah, so how can movement in water be translated into form? there is too many ways to communicate movement and to understand how it's getting. So for this project, I wanted to explore how the body can translate this data into something wearable or just usable garments or things. So for this project, I had to start with my input, which was the body in the water, and then I tried to get all these trajectories to be translated into data and work with this data to make some designs. And as we said, in water, why water? In water, the body adapts to forces such as resistance, pressure, and flow, and this interaction generates specific structures, patterns of movement. So each movement leaves a trace in space, and this trace can be interpreted as a special data. So for the first step of this project, I had to extract these gestures, and I had to do it with a special software, an open source software, to extract these trajectories as data, as raw data. And to understand how these gestures could become material, I explored different ways of translating movement into patterns. And I decided to try with just a specific part of the body and see how they react and act underwater. So for this, the second step, I had to convert movement into measurable data, and then try to explore on grasshopper with parameters to generate these waves and these geometries that I wanted to apply to my designs. So this was the first try, which I made some of tests underwater with some kinds of materials and different kinds of fabrics. And after big research of this material, after a big material research in textile research, I wanted to explore 3D printing as a way to give volume and tactility to the patterns. And I also wanted to create a kind of optical illusion. Well, these were some of my tests of all the materials I use. And well, I tried to apply the same system, but with different movement inputs. So each piece is generated from different movement data, which means the resulting geometry depending on the specific trajectory. So for the first garment, I wanted to create a bodysuit, which was the main piece, and this was my grasshopper exploration for the first design, and I wanted to use another kind of techniques such as sublimation and laser cutting for the patterns. And well, I found out the best way of make these models for the final design. I needed to make tiny lines on mesh to maintain the flexibility of the fabrics, and that made the piece to be able to be flexible to the body and don't be rude with the body. And then I also create a cover up or kind of cape. For this was the same system, but with another movement, with another trajectory of movement. And for this piece, I decided to use laser engraving and cutting, and also I wanted to apply this technique called layering. For the first layer was mesh, and then I wanted to create volume with another layer of this neoprene fabric. And for the last piece, I want to create a kind of bag. I wanted to make some, well, this is the last gesture I used, which was of the trajectory of the leg. And I wanted to create interconnect modules to make a bag, and the form and the size will be defined by each model. So for the future of this project, I think this approach opens the possibility for personalized design, where the form and the garments or the clothes are generated from individual movement. And these are my photo shoots for the, well, these are my results of this exploration. This is the bag and the bodysuit. And yeah, well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your project. Could you maybe stop sharing your screen so we can see each other? That always helps in conversation.
I realized that I didn't open my camera, right? Sorry.
Yeah, there you are. Good to see you. That always helps. I'm so happy to see how far you got with actually creating a bathing suit and then trying it and actually wearing it on the water, because I really enjoy the fact that you tested it, you wore it on the water. What was your experience wearing your own bathing suit like that?
Actually, yeah, that's not me. That's my sister.
Okay.
Yeah,
But still, how did she experience it?
For her?
What was her experience with wearing your garment underwater? Was it how you
What?
intended it, or
Oh, sorry?
what was the experience of your sister when she was wearing the garment? Did it work in the way you expected?
Yeah, actually it worked. Well, at the end of the time that she used it, it started to be a little complicated, the filament, because it started to take off just on a part of the leg. But in general, I think the thing that I wanted to get was a flexible material to be able to stay on the body when she was moving. So I think that was the best part in this challenge. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was very interested. You mentioned that you wanted to create something with volume, but that is very challenging when you're moving through water, because then you create something that is resisting the
Yeah.
water. What was your choice in why did you want to make something with volume and not a print, for example?
Yeah, I had to make the lines tiny to be able to stay on the water.
But why would you like you mentioned volume, you wanted to 3D print, so make something three-dimensional and not completely flat?
Yeah, it was dimensional. It has, I think,
2 millimeters of volume.
Yeah.
It wasn't flat.
Yeah, because I can imagine if you would have made it sublimation print or silkscreen printing, that there are different techniques that might have been a better fit for the underwater experience, because you have constant friction with the material. It's a very challenging environment to work in. So I can imagine if you would use the same aesthetics with other techniques for the future, that could help with the process as well.
Yeah. That makes
I
sense.
really enjoy the shape that you create. I think that looks very beautiful and also very feminine, especially that so close to the body. I think that was really nice. And I think you made some very interesting steps there. But maybe the technique was not the most perfect thing for the context in which you were creating an object. For the back, it worked very well because then you don't have the water interaction. Yeah, that yeah, but I do really like the fact that you yeah, that you did this user test, that you actually put it in the environment for which you created it. So I think that's a very good step. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Mons. I want to add something. More interested. Good job so far from last time. I'm interested more in how this experiment could develop further and like becoming a service that you could really offer to the people. How would it work? You know, you're translating the gestures and the data. Would they give you like a video?
Yeah, I will say with a video it could work very well because it works with uh, tracking frame by frame of the video. And well, I would like to maybe in the future to use kind of sensor to make a more specific translation of the movement. Because I mean, I think it's different from a video than from real data from a sensor. You know, like I think it could be more specific or more real. But by now with a video, it worked well.
Yeah, I was just inviting you to think of the system where this stays less performance, but can actually help you to reach the people and provide them with this product and service at the same time. And maybe since you use 3D printing, another way to personalize the garment could be exploring all these new filaments that maybe react with the water, react with the body temperature, and so on. So it's like a little bit of add-on that maybe some people feel are like nice.
Yeah, to make more interesting.
Good job.
Thank you.
And I think we move forward with, we're still in Mexico. And I think we have Daniela.
Hi, yes.
Hi, good morning.
So I'm gonna start with the short video. Can you please tell me if you can hear it?
this project was inspiring this question: can we train the brain through playing? And the answer is yes. To activate our brains, we just need a stimulus and then respond to it. So some of my inspiration came from these, I would say, famous games or tests. Some of them are for psychologists to be able to verify the level of inhibition or stimulus conflict that a person can manage, or there are games to train some sustained attention, memory. Each of these have their thing, but the thing with them is that they are fun, but at the same time they are helpful for us. So I thought, what if we take the essentials that make each of these interesting and bring them directly to the hands? First of all, my project works with eye-hand coordination because this kind of coordination is key to maintaining our independence. Pretty much all our days are based on eye-hand coordination. And the thing is that this type of coordination declines over time, or maybe we never really train it. So the good thing is that we can improve this type of coordination by exercising, practicing skills, and treating underlying conditions. That is why I work first of all with visual motor coordination, meaning that the stimulus is visual and the response is manual. Our brain is just like any other muscle. The more we train it, the better, and all exercise is good to it. So then I thought, why stop just in hand-eye coordination? What if I could combine fine motor coordination and also use it to improve other cognitive functions? So this is why this project was more of building a versatile infrastructure to be able to train the mind in different approaches, depending on the programs. So for example, maybe I'm not as skilled with my left hand that I am with my right, so I would use more the left glove. Or maybe I can work with both my hands, but not at the same time. So I would train them to be able to control them individually, but at the same time. So to start building this project, first I focused on the electronics because I wanted to see which component would be the best to be able to keep it simple, but also be versatile. And that is why I choose NeoPixels, because in difference to normal LEDs, I could work with color too. So I could have more animations or maybe with selective attention. Then I moved to the first prototype. This helped me a lot because I think in my mind, I had so many ideas, but when I wanted to make it in fabric, I started to have some trouble because I never worked with fabric. So I just took some fabric and some scissors and started prototyping. And at the end, this really helped me to be able to visualize from volumetrical to two-dimension. And I also use it to see like the sizes of the hole for the thumb, also where to place the NeoPixels. Then my second prototype was more focusing on the electronical. So since I was using NeoPixels, I needed to distribute voltage and ground for 4 of the fingers. And I thought of making a PVC, but then, I've never done it before. I didn't ended up doing it because one, I didn't have the time. And I thought, why not doing it a little bit simple and soft? At the end, this is a textile academy. So I use metallic safety pins to work both as be able to secure the pieces together and also make the electrical connections going in a more modular approach. This way, if something went wrong or I would need to change something, I could just change that piece and not all the globe. I carried out with my first idea and ended up not really liking how it looked with the Velcro. It looked a little bit bulky, and I thought I was overcomplicating myself a little bit, having more metallic safety pins in the fingers. So I thought, why not just doing a more directly connection? And that is why I went back to sketching again, and I started thinking, how can I just make this more, with less pieces, like simplify it a little bit. And I ended up with this piece that would go
from the hand to the finger, like kind of like wrapping it. And I also made a distribution of the metallic safety pins. These ones were according to the schematics that I will show. Here I started making the finger parts, verifying that the metallic safety pins never broke contact, so they would light up the net pixel. And here for the schematics, this was a little tricky because I use conductive thread, and it is basically like working with a exposed wire, so nothing could be touching. So this is why I map where to go over the fabric and where to go under the fabric, so none of them would be touching when crossing paths. This is the left hand and this is the right hand. And I use voltage all in the top to be able to make these kind of bridges and then ground in the middle. I also use a piece of leather to make me distribute all my connections, so also avoiding them for touching any further. And I also trace these cross-padded. So here is the final result. And I use neoprene fabric to avoid any statics, and it was a versatile fabric that I could also laser cut. The conductive thread was used with the connections in the hand harness, and I used jumpers to make the connection from the NeoPixels to the metallic safety pin. There is a piece of conductive fabric on the tip of the fingers to be able to make the match between the fingers. I use a total of 8 NeoPixels, and I also use microcontrollers that could connect wirelessly so that both hands could be with the same programmation. And so training the mind can be as simple as playing. As long as there is a stimulus to follow and a response, the brain activates, a connection strengthens, and the mind adapts. So no more reflex, just precision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I was really excited to see this because based on the midterm, there were so many different explorations that you could do. And thank you so much for really elaborating on all your iterations of your prototype. I really enjoy that because that helps somebody that is not part of your process to understand your considerations, why you made certain decisions. So I think you did that very well. And did I understand correctly? Was this for the first time for you working with textiles?
Yeah, with textiles and with electronics.
Wow, nicely done in such a short amount of time. Yeah, wow. I think it's super exciting. And it actually worked. I saw in the video.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow. Yeah. I'm very curious because your presentation, also your video, focuses a little bit also on the medical part, right? That it helps with your cognitive abilities. I'm super curious now that there is a very nice prototype that you can test with, what the next steps could be when it comes to really, can we start to measure and test if there is a difference, and that it would definitely make a difference, because that's always tricky when you make certain claims that are a little bit towards the medical, that you have to be able to really prove it. So that's a choice you can make. You can either see it as an exploration, or you could really go into the more research side. Does it actually work in the way you think of? Do you have an idea what you would like to, how you would like to continue?
Yeah, I mean, right now it is just based upon information and the basics of that I mentioned. And also I talked with a psychologist and she told me that pretty much everything helps. But yeah, claiming that it helps in a specific task would be, I mean, I would have to really prove it with different people and really be able to measure the progress. So I think, yeah, I would like to continue this project, maybe in the future, and maybe test it to really verify that it works the way I want to, and also like user experience and maybe iterate a little bit the design. But yeah, I mean, I would like to continue it and verify if it really helps that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it depends if you want to go more in towards the medical side or it's more a toy, because then you have a different kind of angle there. So that's also something that you can make a decision on based on what you find interesting as well to further explore.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would like it to stay as a toy because I really like that idea. I mean, I designed it in that pad, thinking it's a toy, well, like a game, like a gadget, but also wanting to have some beneficial from it, not just playing, but actually that it could help in something, or maybe a little bit of personalized experience, since depending on the code, people could play, work on different things.
Yeah. Because there's one question I have regarding the design choices you made, because most of it was clear in your presentation, but what I saw happening was right now the LED pixel is underneath the touching element, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get your feedback while you are actually covering the LED with your finger. Would it be possible to place the LED above the touchpad, so really on the tip of your finger, so you instantly see the response and you're not covering the response with your thumb?
Yeah, I explored that option, but I think it wasn't like really comfortable, and I also wanted to explore dissipating the light of the NeoPixel, but I didn't have the time, so I wanted to see maybe if I could put it like you could play not seeing your palms, but like this way, or maybe like it could go up, but I didn't really have the time to make those designs. Yeah.
It could be interesting indeed for further exploration to play around with the position of the pixel to see. Yeah, because I can also imagine this is a different kind of interaction than when you look at it like this. So yeah. It has a lot of potential, but really first time working with textiles, first time working with electronics, and then working around the hand, one of the most difficult things. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Yes, Danny, congratulations for your prototype iterations. I think that definitely I would encourage you to continue with the project. And since you have a working prototype, I wouldn't now necessarily spend more time in iterating the prototype itself, but I would spend more time in the design of the interaction and the game, and then see indeed if you can test it within specific groups. And then after you have done that part of the research, you can see how you iterate the now working prototype. I think what I would have liked to see in your presentation would have been some raw footage of people playing with it, because the video is giving you kind of like the overview, and it's kind of like the product and all the concept. Then in your presentation, maybe I would like to have some small shots of actually playing raw, like without music, or with like how it is in immersive in reality. But other than that, definitely I would suggest that you continue with this research.
Thank you.
Next up is Emma.
Yeah, hi everyone. I will share my screen and I will share a video at the beginning. Oh, okay.
Full screen.
The spirit rises, expressing brush strokes, each movement channeling unspoken feelings directly from the pulse of the heart. Let this journey connect with your inner world.
At the moment of contact, and the silence filled with rhythm, for 76 seconds, your internal rhythm surfaced into light. Your rhythm settled like evening light over still water. What emerged was not your likeness, but the trace of your internal weather, a fragment of you, translated into light.
Okay, so this is mood paint from signal to canvas. And I would like to begin with a quote from Shakespeare. Parting is such sweet sorrow. When we travel, even surrounded by others, a range of emotions emerge: stress, longing, anticipation. The video I showed captures those feelings and intended to illustrate how the mood paint system transformed them into visual, and not just visual, but also voice expressions. So, have you ever imagined your moods shifting as colors and shapes? Throughout history, people have expressed their emotions through painting, dance, music, and other media. But what if your body could speak on its own and intentionally, becoming the medium of expression? So mood paint is a system that allows participants to transform these emotions into digital paintings, turning their biometrical signals, biometrical data into art. So the modes of interaction are two devices, a wristband and a globe. Here we have the final results. And why two devices? Well, because the wristband is more suitable for exhibitions as it can adapt to different sizes. That's why I try to do two devices. Well, the user experience, it can be used in both exhibitions and also in what I call painting booth. And I would actually love to install one of these painting booths at airports to see the experience as we have seen it here in the video. And the process, well, it required extensive research, testing, and experimentation. It involved designing the globe, sewing, soldering, 3D printing. However, most of the time was spent programming. I wrote around 45 different versions of the code. So it was, and it was challenging at times, but it was very rewarding when I saw the results. Those days soldering these tiny pieces, it was like, okay, driving me crazy. But I was so passionate about the project that I love it in the end. How the system works, it operates in 3 layers. The input layer is the wearable device, which has the heartbeat sensor, the conductive sensors, and also the Xiao ESP that functions as a sender. And the translation layer, which has another ESP to work as the receiver, because I was using the ESP now protocol. And the output system, that is where the program is stored in the computer. And in the end, we have the images, and we have also a voice, and we have a PDF report. That's what we have as the output. But how does it work? Okay, when you wear the device, your wrist and fingers contact with the sensors. And at that moment, it begins reading your body signals. And this data is transformed into emotional states, which I map through a classification system. Like you can see here in this table, is calm, stable, focused, elevated, and intense. And it depends on the BPM, on the heartbeat range. Why didn't choose like sad or angry? Because it's not so straightforward. I mean, emotions are not so straightforward. For instance, athletes, they have low rates normally, so they could fall into calm most of the times. But also caffeine, for instance, influences the emotions. So, and it could be like if you drink coffee before testing this device, you are going to be in the intense range. And why from 16 to 110? Because it's the normal BPM in a healthy person. And well, As soon as the globe is turned on, as you saw in the video, so these light paintings start to appear. And well, these images are not pre-recorded, and they are generated in real time and directly from your body. So they are not created using AI either, but through code. I wrote code Java using Java code and mathematical rules to create these images. Because the idea I had, it was like the faster the heartbeat, it has more movement, and the higher the tension introduces more distortion, and emotional states also define the color palette. And here, well, I want to clarify something, that the system is not intended to display the user reactions, but to transform them. Because I have been asked this question also, and it's important to say that the data is not going to be shown and is not going to be saved in any place because of the respect and comply with the data protection policies. So that's the reason why I don't display them either. So, but I want to show you this short video here where you can see the BPM and the conductance values, the GSR values. And here we have, this is very short. And we have, for instance, here the BPM is 100 and the GSR is changing from 2 to 4 and the state is elevated. So that's how I map it. And well, finally, the outcome is when you turn off or remove the globe, your data is going to transform into these images that are like still images or fixed. Well, it's maybe I should have said still images. They are generative AI, and also, I mean, there is a poetic reflection that you could, I hope you could hear it well because it was maybe not clear, and I wanted to explain that this is a poetic reflection instead of giving as an output an analysis, because it would be so clinical to say, okay, you shift your emotions from calm to intense. I prefer to do this poetic reflection. And I wanted to also have this voice narrating the experience. And in the end, there is a summary that is here in the left. So this is the summary of the session, the duration, the timestamp, and also the last painting that it was generated, because I want to explain that also, for instance, if your state changes from calm to elevated, it would be two different states. So you will get two images. That's why you saw many images in the video, because it's the number of states, emotional states you have during the session. This is going to be the number of images you are going to get. So, and well, in the end, you can't print your report. It's a PDF, the report that you can print. Okay, and the meaning, well, in the end, is becoming something intangible to something tangible. This is, as I said, not to analyze, but to experience, to enjoy it. It's a moment of reflection. And this is an invitation to look inward instead of outward. Okay, and thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to my mentors, to my family and friends, and of course to Fabricademy, Anastasia. So I have, this is the last session, so I want to say how much I have enjoyed this time, these months of so incredible people here. I have learned a lot from all of them. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Emma. Wow, you actually got it to work. That's super exciting. Can you explain to me the difference between the bracelet and the glove? Because I understand what you said. A bracelet is easier to put on different people, different sizes. But if the bracelet works, why would I need a glove? Do they interact differently?
Yes, yeah, I didn't explain it so in detail because the time is short to explain everything. and I didn't want to run out of time. But yeah, it has the difference, and why the reason there is a glove is because the conductance sensors are put in the fingers, in the index and middle fingers. So that's why I needed the glove. So there is a little bit difference. And in the result is only, well, these GSR sensors, they like only capture like more if it's the intensity. So anyway, if you see the results, the images that are produced using only the grease band are more or less the same. You don't see like a huge difference. But if you, if you see it in detail, of course, the intensity is changing with the GSR sensors. And that was the reason I wanted the globe. Of course, the globe is more complex, and it has these more variations for instance, in the light paintings is where you can see it more, because in the other images, it's more or less the same. It's the heartbeat who gets more of the information. But in the live images, there is a more difference in the intensity and in the movement of the images. That's the reason. But yeah, I prefer, of course, it would be like the complete experience is the globe. But if I'm going to exhibit it, of course, it will be like, okay, maybe someone because my hands are small. So maybe this globe, I tried to use it with different persons, and okay, it wasn't like so easy. It could be used, but maybe it's not so easy. So that's why I created the grease band. So in case we can try it with different sizes of persons.
Yeah. Okay. So you get an extra data set, and therefore the outcome is more elaborate and different than only with the bracelet.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm super curious because your main goal, because if I understand correctly, what I see happening now is the visual is a direct translation of my physiology. So I see what is more or less happening in my body. So when I'm super stressed, I have a more dynamic visual. But then I think as a designer, you can make a choice. You can either choose, okay, I'm just gonna use your bio data to visualize what is happening, or is eventually your goal to make sure that somebody gets more peace of mind. So when I'm more stressed, I get a more peaceful image to reduce my heart rate and rest, because that's a different angle. And I'm trying to find what it actually is that you want.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify in the presentation, because I have been asked this question also. Yes, these images were created from the body, and yes, that was the intention, is to show what you have inside. But of course, it could be like a next step to have this, I don't know if images, because it could be confusing I don't know if it confuse people, but I was thinking more about to have in the glove, in the hands, so that you could feel something that made you, because maybe you didn't hear it, but my previous idea before starting this project, it was like to make people feel good. So it could be like interesting to, maybe if you are stressed, to have like this feedback, to feel something or to see something that make you feel better, to relieve your stress. So I think it could be also like a next step.
Yeah, it's a different angle.
Yes, of course.
And what I would really recommend, also time-wise, to wrap it up a little bit, what I would really recommend is make a choice in the output you want to give a person, because now it feels a little bit overwhelming, because we have a poetic voice, we have a beautiful visual, then there are a lot of different images. And I think eventually, if you want to connect with the person that is using your device, you don't need that much. I think it could be way more powerful to make a choice in the outcome, so there is a clearer communication between the person wearing your device and the outcome itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it was like more experimentation, like, okay, maybe because I received a lot of feedback in the mentoring session, which it was so great. Okay, and maybe we could try this or that. So I wanted to try like everything, and it was, but it was so very much. I mean, I love it because it was also as it was mentioned before about the gloves. I didn't focus so much on mentioning about the gloves because it was there is not enough time to mention it. But yeah, I also created different versions of the glove because at the beginning it was too bulky and it was like, okay, I didn't like it. And it's the same with the results. I think I wanted to experiment a lot and to see how far I could go because the first idea was only to have images, then these light paintings, and then it was like, okay, the boys and print this the session because I think also it would be interesting for people to I mean, to share it because it was like the idea in the video, for instance, to share it with something, with someone else. I mean, to have something to share or to keep it if you want to keep your experience with you. But yes, maybe it could be overwhelming so many things because it's a lot in the end.
Yeah, so it's great that you test so many different things and now you can start making choices to make your story super clear. Yeah, nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. And we move to the last presentation of today with Nadia. Nadia, are you ready to present?
Yes, I'm trying to get my screen together.
Even if you share the whole computer, don't worry. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Did you share with audio?
Yes.
Okay, good. So go back to the top of the presentation, because I think now we're at like slide 5. Will you play the video first or the slides?
The slides. So these are some questions that I wanted to ask just to kind of get the thoughts rolling. But what does it cost to create? Where does your blood, sweat, and tears exist? And how does the body hold emotion and memory? When I began this project, I approached it as a material-driven study of the body and not just as a physical form, but as both a emotional container and a biological system of what I was really interested in and how the internal processes like circulation, exertion, and release could be translated into something tangible and wearable. Instead of viewing fashion as something so surface level, I started thinking about how it is an extension of the body where emotion and labor and memory are physically embedded into the materials themselves. This idea is grounded in the somatic theory, which understands the body as a place where lived experiences and emotions are stored physically. The body is constantly active. Sorry. The body is constantly, I'm sorry. The body is constantly active and responding. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm nervous.
It's completely fine, Nadia. Don't worry. Don't be nervous. It's all good. It already looks amazing what you're showing. So take your time. I'm just here listening. I'm enjoying your slides. No worries.
Okay, sorry. But the body is constantly active in its processing and responding and adapting. So I began organizing my concept around 3 main systems. So the circulatory system, which I associated with blood and It represents the movement and sacrifice, the muscular and skeletal system, which is connected to sweat, which reflects endurance and labor, and the nervous system, which is tied to tears, representing vulnerability and the emotional release. These systems don't function separately. They are continuously in a cycle of activation, release, and tension. And that same cycle is mirrored with the materials that I worked with, using bio-based materials, introduces idea of a material aliveness. So unlike traditional fabrics, these materials begin in fluid and responsive states, and transformed into different things over time. So whether it be through chemical processes, touch, and again, or time, watching them shift from something soft into something active or hardened, or stable felt very similar to how emotions move through the body, intense, and the movement eventually processed and stored. Visually, this is reflected in my mood board, so my overall direction, and the materials themselves become an extension of the emotional triad captured, tension, flow, and transformation, their life cycle, growing, reaching, and drying, and even stabilizing and reinforcing the idea that both the body and materials are living systems, constantly changing before settling into the final state. For the 5 Ws, this project is a study of fashion inspired by biomaterials that uses textiles to redefine the human body. It looks at the problem of how designers could create textiles with a deeper meaning while being centered in sustainable techniques. Instead of using standard apparel construction, the project is created through biomaterial experiments. And this project is created by me. I'm a designer who has recently become fascinated with the human body and its emotional states and how that can be transformed and translated into a textile. And I think that anybody learning about sustainability or is interested in the human body as being a source of inspiration for design will also benefit from this work. While this project started from a very personal place, it quickly became something more universal. And I began thinking about blood, sweat, and tears, not just as a phrase, but as a shared experience across all disciplines. And it reflects the unseen hours, the repetition and the setbacks and the just emotional highs and lows that come with being dedicated to something. And for me, a major influence was my background in dance. Dance taught me discipline, endurance, and just being able to express myself in an emotional state. But it also showed me how much of the process goes unseen and what the audience experiences as effortless is actually built on exhaustion, repetition, and that same release. And the duality became central to how I also approached this work. As I continue to develop the project, I looked into designers like Iris Van Harpen, whose work explores the relationship between the body, technology, and different innovative materials. And what stood out to me was how she treats the materials as living systems rather than static materials and fabrics. And that, I would say, really influenced my approach to fabrication. And in this context, fabrication became more than just constructing garments for me. It became like the process of creating material itself. And instead of not only like sewing or assembling, I was mixing solutions and growing my own, kombuchas and shaping different materials and just allowing them to transform before me, and then applying them to the body afterwards. So it wasn't just the act of the making, but it was also about the final piece that I was creating in the end. And the development of this project began with the material exploration, which then guided my visual direction. So I started sketching out by hand to each look just to understand the concepts of blood, sweat, and tears and how it could lead and exist on the body through different silhouettes and proportions. And this stage just allowed me to think about how emotion would feel, not visually, but also conceptually as well. So after sketching, I used Raspberry AI to translate those drawings into digital renderings, and that just helped me visualize the texture and detail and just the overall view of kind of what I was aiming for. And then afterwards, I began drafting my patterns and sewing in muslin samples, which allowed me to, again, test the structures and fit while, being able to still change things in the beginning. And then as I started to work with my biomaterials, the process for me shifted. I noticed that the materials behaved a lot differently than, of course, the traditional textiles. So just changing through its shape and its stiffness throughout. And because of that, I had to let go of me trying to control it in its alive state. So forcefully. And with doing that, it just kind of shifted and became a key part of my process, where the material itself started influencing the final outcome, giving me the organic feel that I wanted. For the tears component, I started experimenting with bioplastic. Initially, I was interested in how it could be molded and shaped. But after testing, I realized it didn't really capture the emotional depth or like fluidity that I was going for. It felt like too controlled in a sense, and it lacked just a texture that I was also going for. So then I started exploring with biofull, which became a turning point for my process. And instead of working on one solid form, I began to build the material in thin, gradual layers. So I would pour small amounts of my solutions out and then allow them to rest, and then creating a window where I could manipulate them still in their kind of pliable stage. And then fast forward, there is a very visible transformation or from liquid to solid, which directly connected my
Time's up.
concept to the emotional release in each layer. And then for the blood component, I created bio yarn to represent the circulation and the energy and just the creativity of movement. And then using a similar base for the biofull, I also changed my process by extruding the material through a bottle. So it was able to create some strands. And rather treating the yarn as a traditional textile, I approached it as a system as well, to which I twisted and also hand sewed some of these together as well. And then for sweat, I began growing my own kombucha at home as my Scooby. And this process required a lot of time and patience. And then over time, it became more pliable and skin-like. And then once it was ready to come out, I let it sit and rest. So unlike the more fluid materials, this one introduced a sense of like structure and containment. And to reinforce this idea, I also incorporated 3D printed spinal elements based on the human lumbar spine. Once my concepts were drawn, I started sewing my each design, paying attention to just the placement and proportion again. And then I was also doing model fittings, so just making sure that everything was on the right track before fully going into my final fabric. And this was my timeline. the building of processing for materials, my tools of creation, which were just a sewing machine, a 3D printer, and my hands for hand sewing. And to my thank you, I would like to thank everyone for their time and attention, for understanding my concept, and your support and encouragement has made this possible. Thank you again to Fabricademy and Fab Lab Leon for providing the opportunity to translate these creative ideas. And again to NCCU and Professor Celine for their continuous support and mentorship, and just believing in me throughout this journey and their encouragement. And then the dedication, this work is dedicated to those who have experienced the blood, sweat, and tears beyond their craft, and to the discipline, the passion, and the unseen process that shapes us all into the years of sacrifice and dedication that have shaped me, and to every individual committed to mastering what they love. And then I will share my video.
There's a lot that people don't see. The time, the repetition, and just the pressure to get it right. And at some point it stops being about fashion, and it becomes about what you're willing to give to something that you love. You know, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. It doesn't look the same for everyone, but it's there. And this is what it takes to create.
All right, thank y'all. Sorry, I was over time, but
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for this super vulnerable presentation. It's a very intimate way of wrapping up such an intense afternoon together. You're a dancer. I'm a dancer too, so I know what you're talking about. When you want to dance, you cannot just look at sheet music, right? You need to be able to hear the music. You need to be able to feel the music. You have such an interesting mind. There's so much going on in there. And I would love to invite you to not show me sheet music, but let me hear the music. Because that's what was happening in your presentation. You were showing me the sheet music. You were giving me an insight into your mind, but it was all picture perfect. I want to see the nitty-gritty. I want to see the ugly sketches, the thing that went wrong, the prototype, the material test, because that is what makes it tangible. I think you have a very strong conceptualization, and now it's a challenge to make that tangible, let that come out, flow out of your mind, out of your body, not only in the shape of dance, but also in the shape of the materials that you play with. So it's okay to show that. I don't need to see only a beautiful visualization AI made of your sketches. I want to see the sketches, because that's where it becomes interesting. So I really hope that this can be for you a kind of invitation also for the rest of the things that you're going to do in the future. It's okay to show that it doesn't need to be picture perfect. It's really about finding a way how you can connect with the people that you share your ideas with, whether that is in a video, a presentation, or a final end work, because it's all there and it's all okay. It's just about showing it and making it tangible.
Thank you.
Does that resonate with you? Do you feel that?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. I think because the only thing I miss a little bit, because you have a beautiful end result as well, but I miss a little bit of the media. Oh,
Sorry. That was my Alexa. I'm sorry.
I miss a little bit of the final end result, because we build up to this moment, and then I miss a little bit of the visual there, and it's in your video, but I would love if you can actually make some good photos of your end project as well, because that's also part of making it tangible, not only the nitty-gritty and the process towards it, but also good visualizations of your end result are super important, because that also takes us with you in your story.
Gotcha.
But thank you very much for sharing all of this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Malu. And thanks to everyone. And I hope that you enjoyed everyone's output, the presentations. I hope that you will continue with these amazing projects that you have started. And I also hope that soon we will see everything documented, as we will be evaluating everyone for the next month and a half. Our graduation is going to be held in person in Boston this summer during the Fab 26 conference at MIT. And of course, we will also hold an online graduation for the ones that they're not planning to go. For the ones that they will graduate, participation to the conference will be provided by us, the ticket, the entrance, and also there will be an exhibition at MIT Media Lab. So we will inform you all about those via email, and you can always contact us on our Mattermost. Keep your Mattermost open, as we will be continuing sending events and opportunities in the channel continuously. And I hope that you can rest a little bit and party and celebrate today for the big end of the program. And thanks a lot to everyone, mentors, and the hard work is done always by the instructors. So big thanks to all the instructors that they are making this happen. Hope to see you all in person. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.